I want to talk about some of my favorite BookTok Romantasy recommendations, but only in terms of their plot and magic. Because contrary to popular belief circulating right now, there are actually plots in these books. And no, I'm sorry to disappoint, they don't revolve around getting stuck in washing machines, ordering extra meaty pizzas, or any black leather couches. Let's start with City of Gods and Monsters. This is an urban fantasy romance series. It's the first book in the House of Devils. And we follow our FMC, who is a human living in a world that does have magical beings. We have vampires and werewolves and witches and warlocks. We have demons that roam the streets at night. And especially for a human, it's very dangerous to be caught out after dark. And the main plot of this book is figuring out why our human FMC is on the radar of supernatural bounty hunters. These bounty hunters are called Dark Slayers, and they possess something called the Sight. It's this ability that they have to see people's auras, and so this helps them track down their marks. But the tricky thing with this case is when the leader of the House of Devils, a very infamous, very dangerous bounty hunter group, goes to track down our FMC, he's confused by what he sees. Because normally, when he's tracking down a mark, their aura is going to look dark and dingy and just, speak to a life of bad deeds, essentially. But when he looks at our FMC, her aura is squeaky clean, pure. She is not a bad person. She is clearly also human. So it's really confusing as to why he is supposed to be capturing her and handing her over. We also learn as we move through the series more about just these bounty hunter circles, the criminal underbelly of this city, secret society implications, and much more. There's actually a lot going on in the series besides just the romance, and I particularly recommend this to people who prefer the urban fantasy setting. Next, I want to talk about Belladona. This is a YA, like, gothic romantasy series. Our main character, since a baby, has been able to see the dead, ghosts, and more intriguing, death himself. And she has not lived an easy life. As a baby, her whole family was poisoned. And then throughout her adolescence, she has been moved from family to family, and they just kind of have a habit of not lasting very long. So she finally gets placed with some of her cousins in this like magnificent manor. And the vibe of this, the plot of this, is kind of like a mystery story, a bit of a murder mystery, even, because her cousin's mother died of this mysterious illness that her cousin now has, and no doctor seems to be able to say what's wrong. Why is she dying from this? And so our main character, along with other people in the manor and utilizing her ability to speak with death himself, tries to solve this mystery of, is there something nefarious going on? Is there a way to save her cousin? And us as the reader, we have no idea who we should be trusting. It kind of feels like a game of Clue. Is it the butler? Is it this person, that person? Like, what could possibly be going on here? And with this series, I will say that the audiobook narration is excellent. I highly recommend listening to this one if you prefer audiobooks, or even if you just want to give an audiobook read a try. This is a great book to listen to. Daughter of No Worlds is an adult fantasy romance trilogy, and our main character wants to buy her way out of servitude. She's been saving up money her entire life as a slave, as a dancer, and when she goes to buy her freedom, it turns out her master's not going to make good on this. So her only way out is through bloodshed. This does not go according to plan, and she has to leave behind a lot of people she cares about. She doesn't want to just forget about these people, so what she ends up doing is trying to align herself with a powerful organization called the Orders. Her plan is to get an in with these powerful magic wielders and convince them to go back to where she came from and help save her people and destroy these, corrupt masters. The Order wants to know what she's capable of magically, so they have her do an apprenticeship with a man named Max Interius. But what's interesting is Max does not like the Order at all. Like, he left it, he's a recluse now, but he does agree to help her due to hearing about her cause. An interesting wrinkle to note is that she does not speak the same language as these people, so it is a language barrier to get over, and just watching her, figure out how to communicate with her trainer, how he's communicating with her. It's a fun dynamic to watch, kind of unravel. And then as we're getting through this story, we are just learning more about how this magic system works. What is Max's past with the orders? Why doesn't he trust them? What do they have planned for Tasana? Because it turns out they're not just going to altruistically help her out, they want something from her. And I'm not going to spoil what that is, but let's just say this series has some of the biggest twists and unexpected turns of any romantasy I've ever read. So I just highly recommend this one if you want a story that has a lot of plot and background going on besides just the romance. Next, I want to talk about The Serpent and the Wings of Night. This is the first book in the Nightborn duology, but it is connected to other duologies in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. Our FMC is a human, but from a young age, she was adopted by the vampire king of the Nightborn vampires. And as you can imagine, it's not easy growing up as a human surrounded by bloodthirsty vampires. She wants to gain more power. And so when this like mythical competition pops up hosted by the goddess of death, she decides to enter it as a human who's going to be battling a bunch of vampires. Because if she makes it through this competition as the victor, she's able to ask a boon of the goddess. So if you're someone who likes reading about deadly trials, and games, competitions, you're going to like this. And it also, as you're going through it, tackles some questions she might have over her relationship with her vampire father. Like, is he actually a good guy? Is he not? Who should she really be loyal to? Silver Under Nightfall is a adult romantasy. It's also surrounding vampires. Our main male character, Remy Pendergast, is a vampire hunter, also known as a slayer. He's very good at what he does, but he does have a bit of a sketchy reputation because people think that he is half vampire. And so he really wants to clean up his rep, and one of the ways he's trying to do that is by investigating what is going on with this mutation happening to the bloodsuckers. While he's working on this case, he does have to work with some vampires. And it's interesting to see this journey and see him trying to also uncover secrets of his past, if there's any validity to these rumors, and also, who ultimately should he be loyal to. I do want to note, I think this series does an excellent job of portraying what it's like for a young male character to be taken advantage of by a female character, not the love interest, somebody else, but I just think in a lot of media we don't get enough spotlight on that, and I think this does a good job of that. And this is also an unconventional dynamic. Even though I said I'm also going to talk about plot, I do want to just put it out there that this is a throuple situation. So if you don't want to read about a series only about a monogamous couple, then this might not be for you. To Bleed a Crystal Bloom is an adult gothic romantasy series. It's marketed as a dark Rapunzel retelling, and beyond that, it's honestly kind of hard to tell you what it's about. Because it's kind of weird and kind of confusing, but I really liked it. I don't know. It's mostly character focused. The main character, you're kind of learning her like weird little routine she has to keep herself occupied, while she's just confined to this tower. But there's just this air of like mystery and darkness and like, who are these people? What is going on? Is she actually stuck in this tower or not? Why does she need to put a drop of blood in a goblet of water for the owner of the castle to take and presumably drink or do something with every night? There's just a lot of mystery, and you're wondering what exactly is going on, but I just found it to be gripping somehow. So I recommend just giving it a shot. I'm going to cap it with these 5 books for now. I'm curious to know people's thoughts if you have read them, or if I've maybe intrigued anybody if you haven't. I'm more than happy to do more videos like this focusing on the plots, because I know especially in romantasy or just like anything with romance, the recommendation tends to be romance forward and sometimes no mention at all of what the plot is. But as you can see, at least with these books, there is a lot going on beyond just the romance. And those tend to be my personal favorites when it comes to romantasy books that make me care not just about the romance, but the story and the like world building and magic. Um, so yeah, hopefully this was helpful in some way. And I am pregnant and out of breath, so